The reality of where we are right now and the reality of what we're about to watch over the next, hopefully, at least 10 days or so, is that everything that Leon Rose did was about this moment. Every move that he's made, every button he's pushed, every lever he's grabbed, and every transaction that he's thought about and then eventually followed through on is about beating this team. From a matchup perspective, it's all about the Celtics. And we will know whether or not Leon Rose has built, or maybe bigger picture, is capable of building a championship team. My answer is, at least in terms so far, no. I don't think the Knicks win this series. I don't think it's particularly close, and I hope that I'm wrong. I think the Knicks are going to get knocked around a little bit here. And I think that what's going to happen to many of you who aren't sure yet. And I get it. You're not really sure. You're not fully sure. Yeah, the one thing that's very interesting about like this window, I think that the window for the Knicks has been greatly extended by a lot of people. This is not some 3 or 4 year window. Again, I'm not trying to be negative, but think about this, guys. If the Knicks don't win this series, and everybody in Vegas is saying they have no chance to win this series. I mean, they're like plus 1,000 to win. I mean, that's nuts. All right. So everybody thinks they're going to get smoked here. And if they do, well, you try to make a tweak next year. But for a lot of reasons, I'll get into that in a minute, I don't know that they can. And then let's say they run it back next year. Pretty much the same components. You got Karl-Anthony Towns, you got Brunson, you got Bridges, and you have OG Anunoby. Mitch is still here. He's got another year or two to go on his contract, whatever. And maybe some of the ancillary pieces, maybe you shift to McBride somewhere or Achua and you get a sniper, whatever. But the main components will be back. And if they don't win next year, then it's over. I mean, there's no way, 3 years from now, we'll see what they can do. When Karl-Anthony Towns is in his early 30s. That's not the way this works. So the moves, and they began, by the way, with Tom Thibodeau's hiring back in July of 2020. And then, of course, they signed Jalen Brunson. And they were kind of, universally ridiculed for that. The amount of money that they gave Jalen turned out to be brilliant, all right? And then they wound up trading Obi Toppin, which right now means not a lot, but he was the first player taken top 10 by Leon Rose. And then they traded R.J. Barrett and quickly for OG and Precious, we know about. Then they traded Randall and Dante for Cat. Then they traded the 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Now, understand this, guys, right? So they have no money. They're pretty much capped out. And they've got no real draft equity, which is why I say this is it. This is where we are. And where we are is, I don't think it's going to be remotely good enough. If they were to somehow, shock the Celtics, I know what happened with the Cavs last night. Cavs aren't losing that series. But if they win this series, I don't necessarily think they win the next series. So I don't think this is a championship team. And when you get to this point, the contracts, the money, the draft equity, this, that, to me, now the focus is shifting from the coach to the general manager. And the president, whatever the title is, I got a couple of titles. President of Basketball Operations, I believe, is the official title. It's about the big picture. It's about this dream and this roster and this vision that was crafted years ago. Well, and little in every little teeny tiny incremental step was pretty galvanizing. All right, here we go. First, they learn how to compete. And then you get some horses. Now you win some games. Now you're a good seed. Now you get to host some games in the playoffs in terms of being a top 4 seed. And now you enter this season with legitimate expectations. Probably hijacked the entire news cycle this offseason. Once the Knicks got Karl-Anthony Towns, and it was very late, clearly it was all about the Knicks. Not about the champion Celtics, not about the up-and-coming Thunder, not about the up-and-coming Cavaliers, not about, at that point, LeBron and Anthony Davis out west or Denver, whatever. It was really about the Knicks. It was about the Knicks. And if it's not about the Knicks in 10, 12, 14, 15 days, isn't that the answer that you need? It's the answer that I need. Unfortunately, I feel like I already have the answer, and I hope that I'm wrong. And I'm not going to be negative through this thing. I'm not. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be raw. And if Karl-Anthony Towns, if Cat too often plays like a mouse, which he has, he's going to hear it. I mean, if Tom Thibodeau forgets about a hot player or whatever, they still can't defend the three, he's going to hear it. If Mikal Bridges disappears for, chunks of big moments in big games, he's going to get crushed. But it's not about crushing people. It's not about lambasting people on the radio. It's about understanding where we are. And every move that's been made has been made for this moment. Do you think they're ready for the moment? Do you think they are? Because there's no more big moves to be made. 888-808-1019. It's BT and Sal here on the Fan. Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata Show. All right, we're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Not a great baseball weekend. We'll do that later. But right now, we're talking Knicks. Mark's in Brooklyn. BT and Sal. What's up, Mark?
Leading us off, BT, I thought Omar might do it today, but I'll take it. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I think Omar is either after big wins or excruciating meltdowns, so he can really be Omar. You know what I mean?
Both of Omar's still relaxing from Sunday. You got to give it to him.
Uh-huh.
BT, I'm excited. I agree with you. There's a lot of honesty to be made, and I'm with you with Thibodeau. But I want to break this down with you. There's few people, if anybody, who I respect their basketball, but especially Nick's opinion more than you. You laid out a lot of ifs before, BT. But let's look at the other way. If the Knicks win, what has to happen in your opinion? For me, first of all, it starts with the consistency.
I can't have the conversation. That's not a good sign, Dove. It's a very ominous sign. Here we are ready to talk shop. Knicks, Thibs, Cat, Brunson. Man, we got to get those phone lines corrected, which we certainly will. Yeah, listen, I understand it's a very interesting point here in Knicks history because this century's been so empty that the easiest thing for most people to do is to just appreciate where they are. And I get that. There's an element of that I certainly do understand. But I'm past that. It's no longer the little scrappy engine that could. It's no longer Julius Randle and, that group of riffraff, Nerlens Noel and Moutier, whoever, young Barrett, overachieving through hard work. It is about the New York our Knicks taking the court tonight, right? Against the defending champion Boston Celtics. And the Knicks, when they walk to midcourt, they've got not only a starting point guard in the All-Star game in Jalen Brunson, they've got a starting center in the All-Star game in Karl-Anthony Towns. So right there, it's kind of all you need to know why the Knicks should have a really good chance to win the series. But nobody thinks that they do. And I think sometimes, I was saying this the other day, and I purposely avoided this on Friday. I know that last hour of the show on Friday, we kind of, crept into the Celtics a little bit. I didn't even want to do it, but a couple of callers brought me there. I started the show. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting on the air today and not enjoying, that dagger with 4 seconds to go from Brunson. There's no way that I'm just going to hit fast forward and go into, wow, they can't beat the Celtics. Who the hell wants to hear that? And from my perspective, who the hell wants to do that on the air? I didn't. It was a celebration. I loved Friday's show. And I loved I didn't love the entire game Thursday because, they almost gave it away. But I loved how it ended, okay? But now, guys, we're back to the reality of the mission. And as good of a story as it's been, back-to-back 50-win seasons, all right, top 4 seed, okay, the energy's back. The respect has been restored at the Garden. Undeniable. But it's still about championships, man. So let's not get this thing twisted. And we're deep enough into the pool. It's not we're not the kiddie pool, not at our knees or our thighs or our waist. We're wading into the deeper waters with the big boys, the Sharks of the NBA. Do you think this team's ready to win this series? And because the answer for me is such a quick and resolute no, then that's a bigger picture thing. We got Alex in East Quad, BT and Sal on the Fan. Alex, how you doing today?
I apologize. I owe you that from Friday. You were right about Cedric Maxwell. I was wrong about Kelly Tripucka.
I appreciate you manning up like you should, Alex. I'm not surprised you did it, though. You're a man of integrity. Go ahead.
That's cool. I go back to the days when the Knicks drafted Jim Bednew's Barnes number 1 and Willis number 2. So you kicked my tush on that, and I bow down to you.
I got you.
I want to agree with you on 2 points. First of all, the window for this team is nil. They have no assets. They have no draft picks. Even if they wanted to trade Mikal Bridges, let's say he flames out in the series, what are they going to get back from him? Are they going to take back 10 cents on the dollar? And secondly, you know how I feel about Tibbs, but I always agree with you that he changed the culture of this team. He changed the professionalism. He really, whipped this team together as a franchise, but he has reached his typical Tibbs ceiling, and you have to understand that and thank him for all he's done and move on. So I don't think they're going to beat the Celtics. I really don't. I think they were lucky to get past the Pistons in 6. But going forward, enjoy whatever we can out of this playoffs because from here on in, it's downhill a little bit for a while.
Well,
so
and you're with me on the window here, Alex, and thanks for the call here. Like when I think of a team's window, now every sport's different. Obviously, baseball players they play longer, whatever. Football without a quarterback, or some other things. It's obviously going to truncate somebody's window. It's just going to condense it. But the NBA. If you've got the right pieces, you can obviously go for a while. But if you're kind of in between, it's a rough spot to be in. And that's why I don't think the Knicks window is very long. I just don't. Do the Knicks have like a vast array of ascending talent? So are their superstars getting better? I don't think so. I think this year and next year and maybe one more from Brunson like that, that's going to be the peak of his powers. And he's amazing. And he's a New York legend. And we love him. And we revere him. Even without a championship. Like, he's doing all he can. I don't think he's getting better. I don't know that he's got another level to get to. So I don't think he's ascending. I think he's right in the middle of his prime. Which is a good place to be. If other guys are ascending, I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is ascending. You know that. I don't think Mikal Bridges is ascending. I don't think OG's and I like OG. I don't think he's ascending. So I define a window's length by ascending talent or a good core with extra cap space and ample draft equity to do something big. And the Knicks have neither. That's what makes it. Don't get me wrong. I'm revved up for tonight, but it's like a dose of reality that I just can't escape. And it's been with me all year. You guys know that. Dave's in Manhattan. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, BT, what's going on?
Hey, man, happy Knicks Monday, buddy.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Don't forget, hopefully you have a nice margarita or something, a little tequila tonight, huh?
It's a Monday. I'm not a big weekday drinker, but Knicks are playing. All right, I'm going to squeeze something in there. I'll bend the rules.
Amateur hour, BT. If you don't drink early in the week, how are you going to get ready for the weekend?
Well, dude, I'm 51. How old are you? Do you have kids? Do you have, what's your I got responsibility.
Anyway, I don't want to get into it about that. If you don't have it in you to do it tonight, you'll only do it with the I don't want to get into the whole drinking thing. I know you got in trouble that one time.
No.
Anyway,
it's all good. Go ahead, buddy.
With the college
I got
St.
you.
John's, remember?
I remember.
That's a good thing that died.
Yes.
But more importantly...
And you probably brought it back to life, but go ahead.
No, that was ridiculous.
I'm teasing.
You went a little overboard with that. No. Right? But the Knicks, do you agree that they have no chance of winning, you're saying? So then you're going to come down hard on Big Cat, this guy, that guy, the coach. You're going to fire this guy. Just take a step back. The Knicks have no shot, you're saying. I think there's a small chance, but if they don't win, no one's getting fired. The GM has to be looked at. The team doesn't have the talent. So why are you getting all upset about Big Cat, this, that? He's not Olajuwon out there.
Well, then why'd you trade for him?
That's a whole nother...
but it's not enough. That is the issue, Dave.
The GM. You got to look at the GM, not the players.
Well, I think you have to look at everything, buddy. I really do. Thanks for the call. Look, I think when I lift up the hood of the Knicks car and I just focus on the engine, like the main parts, okay? I see a good coach, not a great coach. I'm well on the record with that. I see a really good executive in Leon Rose. Not good, like really good. But when you make these power moves like he made, and there's really nothing else to do, I can't say that you're great. I could say that you're really good. And I can look at the two best players on the team, and I could say that I don't think that they're good enough to win a championship together as the main two pieces. So if I'm right on those things, and I believe that I will be, unfortunately, well, then what's the recourse? You're not just going to punt it down the road. We'll try again in 2025, 2026. I don't think that many of you would allow that to happen. I mean, now listen, somebody turns an ankle, Tatum, whatever, something wacky happens. Knicks steal one tonight. The Garden's alive. I didn't say they have zero shot. I don't believe in zero shot. I don't. At anything, at any level. I'm just not wired that 0%. No. It might be very minuscule based on the Vegas odds that I detailed before, but it's not zero. So you never know. And I'm going to root like hell from the first bucket that goes in to the first block shot to the first transition bucket to whatever the first thing is that energizes me about these Knicks. I just don't think it's going to last. And if it doesn't last, which is the point, then where are we? Yeah, we're in a good spot compared to where we were. I want to win a championship, dude. I want to win. And I'll tell you that I'm going to get into this coming up next here. There is one term that I have heard thrown around on the radio, on social media, and it is driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. I'm going to tell you what it is. We'll get back to these Nickels. Hey, I'm not here to take away from the energy. I'm just pointing out, to me, the obvious big picture. 888-808-1019. Little baseball as well, of course. Rough weekend, Yanks and Mets, but a big start on a Nick Monday here on The Fan.